This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by For All Seasons Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center.
Life is stressful. Life is busy. Two thoughts that might be the understatements of a lifetime. Would you, by any chance, agree? We know that we need to slow down, we need to press pause, we need to be more mindful, but the question is how? Well, today we're going to talk about mindfulness, and we're doing that with the help of CEO of For All Seasons. This is Beth Ann Langrel. Thanks for coming back and seeing us again.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you this afternoon. So, mindfulness, I hear this word a lot. Define mindfulness for us.
So it's our ability to be able to be aware of how we are showing up, of how things are affecting us, and our ability to take a pause and self-regulate and really just be aware of what's happening for us in this really crazy and stressful world.
It seems like this word is coming up a lot more often.
It is, and I think, sometimes terms are like the catchphrase, but we've been talking about this through words of stress or anxiety or needing a break or a timeout for years. But now we're just putting a new phrase to it that's really catching on for people.
And this is really important to do.
It's super important. It is so important because it affects everything about how we get through our day. If you and I are sitting here in a conversation and we're doing what we're doing right now, just being able to talk. But if somebody comes in and is super stressed and we get triggered by that conversation, I might not be able to be here and do what we're doing.
Right.
And so being aware of how we are presenting, being aware of the stress that we bring to the table. If I was running late today or if I had 4 things on my mind that I couldn't even come to a conversation in a positive light, that would really affect what we're doing. And so just being aware of what's happening for us and what we need to be able to show up as our best selves every day is part of that mindfulness.
Okay, so a lot of times we think, I'm going to take 15 minutes. I'm just going to meditate. I'm just going to breathe.
Right.
But there's a lot more to that skill set, isn't there?
There's a lot more to that skill set, and maybe you don't have 15 minutes.
Yeah, well,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe you only have 3. And so, there's different techniques and skills that we can talk through. So you can do box breathing where you breathe in for 4 and you breathe out for 4. Maybe it's simply just getting in a chair and saying, okay, I'm grounding myself here right now for this conversation. Maybe it's, I'll be right back. I'm going to go take a walk. There are skills that we all have to develop. Some people do the simple art of taking a sip of water. Science shows that a sip of water gives your brain enough moments to reset that you think differently after you've done that simple art of taking a drink.
I did not even know that.
I use it all the time. Nobody needs to know that I need that moment.
Right.
But that simple sip of water hydrates you, and it also gives your brain an opportunity to take a pause.
They see sip of water, you center.
Absolutely,
again,
yes, you can center.
What do we do when we see someone, a friend, a family member, a coworker, that we would kind of like to suggest that to? How do we do that?
Sure, so we have a responsibility for our kids to model good behavior. And so maybe it's saying, hey, let's pause for 5 minutes. How about everybody goes and gets a cup of coffee or gets a drink of water, or I need to use the bathroom. Can we have 5 minutes? We can employ ourselves in that solution for people.
Right.
But it's also about having the conversation and doing what I call circling back. So maybe you and I are in a meeting and I feel like it didn't go really well. And so maybe I come back to you and say, hey Jim, I feel like that meeting was really difficult. How can we do it better the next time around? Or what do you need in order for the meeting to feel like it's the most successful way that we can show up together?
So pay attention to yourself.
Pay attention. Self-care, really, do you need a cup of coffee before you go into a meeting?
Yeah.
Do you need a cup of tea at the end of the night to sort of wind your day down? Do you need 5 minutes in the car with no music on and kids not barking everything that's happening? What do you need? And just trying to put those small steps in play. And we don't have to bring something with us. We can do our own self-regulation just by simply breathing, by taking a sip of water, or having a conversation with someone who brings you to a calmer place.
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Thank you for defining that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that very much.